All right, guys, what's up? Thanks for joining. I got Nate Ruiz and Luis Picasso
Yes, sir.
with me. I'm glad I got that right. I didn't screw it up. Do you speak Spanish or no?
I do.
You do. Okay, you do. Nate does not.
Oh, that's how I recruited. I
Got
needed
it.
a better half.
Perfect. Well, guys, thanks for coming in. You all both in our San Antonio office. You just moved there, Nate. How long have you been with FFL for now?
This month made 3 years.
3 years. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Seems like longer than that because
Yeah.
you're a pain in my butt all the time, but that's a good thing.
The original Denver office.
The original Denver office. What and before, what were you doing? Were you in insurance before?
Yeah, I was a practice IMO.
Got
Am
it.
I allowed to say it or no?
No, it's okay. You don't have to say it. And you were driving. You were FedEx or UPS, something like that.
No,
as well?
before that, I was working. I was like a vendor uniform company. I was delivering stuff, but after that, then it was Verizon.
Got it.
Yeah,
And so it's been 3 years. You hit Hall of Fame last year, right?
for the first time.
First time
It took
last
3
year.
years.
Okay, that's not. At least you hit it
Yeah.
eventually, right? What I think everyone has success at different speeds in this business, and you have had like a lot of ups and downs. Like, what did you change this last year to go from? What was your best year before last year?
The second year, so it was like first year was like 228,
Okay,
and then the second year was like 290.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last year after that was like 638.
okay. So you doubled and some change last year. What are a couple of the things you changed last year compared to the previous years?
Obviously, in-home telesales is a big change, and then the second year when we were transitioning to telesales, it took me a while to understand like the ropes.
Yeah,
And then once I understood it, I just took all the fat out of scripts, and then I learned how to just be direct with clients and be in and out, and just pretty much just how to sell people.
just take the laydowns.
Yeah, well, no. I mean, this guy tested me, Calvin, and I just closed a policy for him for $226. He stayed quiet after that.
Yeah. What you said you took the fat out of the scripts, which I think, dude, I think scripts are good to learn how to sell insurance. I think they're a bad crutch for people once you know what to say.
Yeah.
What stuff did you take out of the scripts? Like if someone's watching this and they want to go from 290 to 600, what did you take out of the scripts?
Might sound counterintuitive, but explain what the policy does.
Yeah.
If they're gonna want to know what the policy does, then I'll just yeah, it's this, this, and this. It's immediate. You die, it'll pay out, and it doesn't expire.
Well, what do
it's a
people
final
say
expense,
normally?
final
Because like
expense.
for final expense, I was always like, yeah, it's $30K and you pay $112 a month, and if you die, your kid gets it.
Well,
And
I don't
it'll
do
same
that.
price
Yeah.
forever. Do they just over explain like
Yeah, and then
like terminal
cash
illness?
value, automatic
Okay,
premium
yeah.
loan.
Yeah.
I already went through the why. You want the insurance, we're gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you sit down and order bacon at the restaurant, you don't know how it was made. You're just like, I just want bacon.
What oil are you using on the bacon?
Yeah, got it. So you took that part out. What else did you take out of the script?
As far as just man, it's been a while since I looked at the script.
Well, I guess what are the things you left in, I guess? Or what's the most important part of the appointment for you?
Most important part for me is speed.
Okay.
Because I mean, it sounds crazy, but this is from what I've noticed is when I'm talking to a client, if I'm going fast, but I'm staying on track still, letting them feel like they're being heard, it's kind of like they don't have time to think about it. Because I think of it as like a boxing match. Say if you're fighting somebody and they're just left, right, left, right, left, right, you just don't have time to think and essentially just like get knocked out. Same thing would be like with. So that's how I think about it in the sales. So,
So you're just asking a lot of questions. Yeah.
and if they ask questions, hey, really quick, and then I'll just cut them off, and I'll pretty much go back to taking control.
What when you're asking them questions to your like, your jab perspective, like what are like the why you still figure out why that. So that's I think that's the only important part of the appointment, right?
That's probably the longest.
What are some of those questions like? Do you ask people?
It depends if they have a mortgage, the renting, if there's a spouse. If there's a spouse,
But you ask all those questions.
how much they're making, things like that. Can they afford it? If there's children, the home has sentimental value. Do they want to keep it? If can they afford it with their family? Is it going to get foreclosed on? Things like that, or can the family afford, just the bill essentially?
I think a lot of people, because you work with new agents too, a lot of people go like, who's your beneficiary? Oh, my son, my beneficiary. Okay, got it. And could he pay for the funeral without you? No, he couldn't. And then they like stop there. And so and that could work for the laydowns, but outside of that, there's no value, right?
Yeah.
So you go take that example, just a normal final expense. There's 71-year-old, he wants to leave for his son. like, what are some follow up questions you ask to like really hammer that home? Like, yeah, my son will be the beneficiary.
Got it. What's your son's name, by the way?
Rowan.
Rowan. Does he live here in Austin with you?
No, he lives in Colorado.
Colorado. How old is he?
20.
20 years old. Does he go to college, or does he have family, or like
He's in college, yeah.
College. And then are you paying like for his tuition, or is it like actually
Yeah,
going through
paying for his tuition.
tuition? Okay. So it's probably you probably have to pay for him to travel back home, right?
Yes, I pay for everything right now.
Sheesh. So I mean, and then the you're gonna do a burial or a cremation?
Burial.
Burial. You know how much that costs or no?
I've not looked into it.
It fluctuates. It's gonna be like 10 or 20,000. That's obviously a big gap, but taking into consideration, how's he gonna get back home if you pay for?
If I'd ideally a flight because he's busy. I don't want him to drive.
But with what money?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So what we got to take in consideration is like the $10,000 to $20,000, the traveling, which we don't know how much flights or driving, and then whatever, if he can even live in that home or moving your stuff out. So reality, we're probably looking like $30,000, like in a whole entire bill. You'd probably agree, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Is that concern? Is that something that's important to you? You want to make sure you can take care of that?
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll make sure we'll look into that range, and if we kind of need to adjust based on like price wise, we'll go from there.
Cool. And then if they're like healthy in that scenario and they have the income, like will you? Because I think sometimes people get pigeonholed. They're like, oh, they think they want $1 million. They think they want like 20,000. Mm-hmm. Before that, are you figuring out kind of what their health is? Or are you just leaving it there and then you're going into their health and you can go, why don't we get you 200,000 instead of 30,000?
Well, based on their health, if they're healthy, then. And I actually have a gut feeling they're not lying to me because sometimes people like to lie.
Yep.
Then I can pretty much say, hey, you know what? We actually got you a pre-approval, and then it'll be for this amount of coverage, which they love you more, and nobody's gonna be able to undercut your policy.
So you plan for them not being as healthy, but you leave the window open. Like if I say I only want 30,000, but you're like, dude, you're healthy, you could get up to 300, then you leave that door open.
I expect for the worst for the client.
Got it. Then you're not having to sell the other. It's better to
because it's terrible. You quote them this, and then you have to resell them.
Yeah, got it. What about when you get to the end? Do you get many objections if you do a good job at the why? And like in that scenario where it's very clear what the why is, and I go, hey man, let me think about this. Like, how do you?
That just happened right now
Yeah.
with Calvin's. He's all, let me talk it over with my wife. I was like, yeah, and then he was starting to talk, and then I just cut him off. Hey, really quick. So were you just going to talk to him like if you want the policy or like what plan to go with? He said, what plan to go with? Okay, got it. But you need something tangible, like a policy pack in your hand, so you can talk it over with her. We'll pick a draft date. So I'm not working based on approval. We're going to pick a draft date. And then from there, since you already approved, we'll go up from there because I'll be your point in contact for the rest of your life or the rest of my life for this policy. Does that make sense?
So you start with the lowest option. You say, hey, we can get more within the first 30 days.
Yeah.
If you talk to your wife and she wants to do 20 instead of 15, we'll do 20.
Yeah, pretty much. Just
new
go for low end, but I make sure that they know there's a draft date, so it's not
not a surprise. Yeah. Perfect. What's one other objection you get a lot that you feel like is easy to overcome?
The one I already got this taken care of. Yeah, got it. Just so you're not getting these phone calls anymore, Zach. How much coverage did you end up getting?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Okay, because I want to make sure you don't get these phone calls. It's annoying, right?
Got it.
And then, do you know the name of the agent, by the way, you're speaking with?
I don't know the name of the agent. No.
Okay. There wasn't any kind of like company like America, Transamerica, Mutual of Omaha, American Amco, State Farm.
I think I can try to find it. Or I can look it up somehow.
Yeah, go ahead and grab it. Let me know when you're ready.
Got it. And you'll make them just go grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they're like, I got something like 4 years ago.
4 years ago. Okay, got it. Do you know how much you're paying for that, by the way?
I don't know, like probably like $50 a month. It's like 10,000, something like that.
So while I'm talking, because I have my screen up and I'm getting their age, their date of birth, and if I don't have their date of birth, I'm like, how old are you, by the way, or awesome? What's your date of birth, by the way?
55.
Got it. And then I'm pretty much just like pulling up the quote tool, and I'm trying to work fast, multitasking. But if I cannot find something better, I'll just ask them blatantly, because that's why we have a lot of leads for as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, looks like you covered that. So were you looking to just add on some extra coverage?
Yeah, that's with those ones. I always assumed that like they already knew they had insurance when they filled out the new ad, right? It's like, okay, cool. So you already had that for burial. Did you need more because of inflation now, or want to leave your grandkids some money, or what? Yeah, try to spend the insurance money, right?
Yeah,
on something else. Got it. All right, Luis, how long? So you newer than Nate. How long? 3 months in the insurance business?
Way longer than that. So I started back in the beginning of June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost a year.
I left the dealership.
Yeah.
Like Nate just called me. He told me, "Hey man, like I'm not telling you to do this, but I just quit my job and I just started doing this."
Got it.
I just said, "Screw it." I did the same thing. I didn't go to work the next day, and I just started, going through the motion. I signed up for the test exam, and then I just started dialing.
And then you're selling like 20 to 30K a month, somewhere in that range?
Now it is. Initially, I wasn't, because I wasn't disciplined. I
Yeah.
wasn't dedicating my full time to this.
What were you selling before?
I was in car sales.
No, sorry. When you first started here, how much were you selling a month?
Oh, when I first started, probably like a little less than 10K a month, maybe.
Okay. For how long did you do that?
Like June, July, August. And then once I started getting my numbers and I started coming to the lock-ins in Austin more often, I would get like revamped and like remotivated, self-disciplined, and then trying to like close more. And then it wasn't until like November when I moved out to San Antonio, and I pretty much just, set my life away. Like, you know what, I'm going to be here. Got an apartment lease for like a year, and now I'm in the San Antonio office.
So where were you living before San Antonio?
I was living in Dallas
Okay.
in the beginning of 2024. I'm originally from Houston. So
Okay.
before that, I was in Houston for all my life. And then I moved to Dallas, pretty much in Texas all my life.
What made you have the confidence to take that leap? And I guess what made you know you had to do that to have, because now you're selling 20 to 30, a lot better. Like, I assume being around people all day long helps. I like it. That's why we have offices. But what made you feel comfortable enough to take that leap to go, I'm going to move to San Antonio, where I don't, have family, friends, like nothing's set up there? Like, why'd you decide to do that?
So I moved out to San Antonio because, I don't have any kids or wife.
Yeah.
I'm 33, and I was like, man, I got nothing to lose, dude. Like, I have my parents back home, and, I just go check on them on the weekends every now and then. I'll go back over there just to make sure they're good, because they're older. They don't work anymore. So I kind of, like, got to take up that mantle. Like, I got to, even though I'm the little brother, I still got to take care of, like, my siblings and stuff, because, like, a lot of them, they don't work, and they don't have that. They've always had that business mentality, just never like on a big scale like this, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of people have that, where they are so worried about, like, what if I fail or whatever? Like, what happens if this goes wrong? And I was talking to someone about this the other day, and they're like, well, I'm just scared to fail. I'm like, but who cares? Like, why do you care if you fail? And they were like, well, I don't want other people to judge me. I'm like, but who cares if other people judge you anyways? Most people are too scared to even try.
Right.
So why do you care what they think?
Right.
And they were like, yeah, he was like, that's a good point. Like,
yeah, it's the same thing for like the gym. People who are a little bit overweight, they're ashamed to be over there, but people applaud you more for actually trying to change your body instead of like just shaming you. So
yeah, that's how you know people are like good people. And like, there's people on the internet who make people take off their shirts in meetings, and it's like, dude, what if they're trying and you're being an asshole?
Yeah.
And making them feel bad about themselves, right? It's exactly. Like they could be trying to get better, and shaming them's not helping anything, you know? And like publicly humiliating people and making them feel like they're failures that's not productive in any way.
No, it's not.
So I think like your mindset was right. It's like, hey, like, what do I have to lose anyways?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the way I always, like, when I was starting this business, I was like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this. And if I fail, I already don't have any money. Like, who cares?
Right.
Yeah,
and that's another thing too. Like, I just desperate for a change, desperate to make something work. Cause like I knew cause like I always had like a business mentality. It just never clicked. I just never dedicated to it, and I just wanted to stick to it. So I just like, you know what? Just cut off all ties and then just jump full in on this and just move out here with you guys. Now I'm here talking to you.
And it's great. And dude, I think some people are so afraid to fail, and they're afraid that people that are never even going to try anything, like what those people think. It's like, dude, they're too scared to even try. Like,
no, and a lot
being
of that,
brave is applaudable.
Yeah, and a lot of that being like Hispanic, like I think that takes a big part too, because like being like, if you come from a Hispanic family, you're just like so used to being like staying comfortable, save up your money, buy a home, have a family, and then that's it. Just
is that just like
retire?
Cultural thing?
It's like a cultural thing. Well, anyways, where I'm from, that's just like
that's a Mexican thing.
Yeah,
that's a Mexican thing.
But no, like even like, and not to bash my parents at all, but they tell me like, oh, why don't you just go back to construction? Like, it's good money. You can save up, and like, yeah, it's cool and everything, but like busting your ass, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
Risking your life every day, like compared to being in an office doing virtual sales, like it makes more sense doing this. And then on top of that, just the earnings that we get.
That's what I've realized since I had kids. Now I can see how it'll be in the future. And I think Nate will understand this. It's like, I think our parents tell us stuff because they genuinely care and don't want us to do something that's unfamiliar to them and get hurt.
Right.
Everyone else tells us to not do stuff because they don't want to be like the only ones not doing anything. They like people being in the comfort zone with them. and they don't want someone to upset the apple cart, you know? So when you moved to San Antonio and you took that leap of faith and you were willing to try, which I think is like, that's the biggest thing. And even we were talking before we started this, Nate, you're like, there's a guy that, you know, makes XYZ at doing a different type of sales, and he's kind of nervous to start doing this. It's like, why don't, like, I'm like, just tell him, like, get your insurance license. If it doesn't work out, worst case scenario, you are exactly where you're at right now.
Right.
You know, it's like if everything goes wrong, you just come back to right where you're at right now and nothing changes. So what is there to lose, really? And I think we have to get good at breaking people's fear down. It's like, what's the worst case scenario from this? You get an insurance license, you spend $1,000 on leads, you hate it, you never deal with it again.
Right.
Okay. You have a new life experience. Awesome. You can talk about it when you're 70 years old, you know? But like, if you're unhappy with where you are now and you don't change anything, then you're still going to be there anyway. So you might as well try. Yeah. So since you moved to San Antonio, got in the office, your production's essentially doubled. What are a couple of things you would tell if you were starting again today? Like, what are a few of the things you've learned from being there that have helped you increase your production that much?
Just don't be an idiot. Don't waste your time on stupid stuff. I mean, I still do it to this day. I like to go out and enjoy myself, and I need to cut back on it. You know, I gotta hold myself accountable. That's why I gotta tell you and Nate. You know, because I'm here and like I'm the face of somebody's, you know, representing somebody's team, and I gotta, you know, be that guy that's gonna be, you know, on top of things and showing the younger generation, no, you got to do this. Cause get your head out of your ass. Yeah. Because once you get 33, you don't want to, you know, I'd rather tell somebody, because somebody that's, like, for example, Daniel, he's getting his shit together. He's only barely going to be 21. And, like, you know, I'm proud of him. Yeah. And, you know, I just wish that I could be able, if I could turn back time and do this all over again, I would. Yeah. And that's what I would say. And it's so mostly just being disciplined and having like the right priorities as to when you're gonna do stuff. Like, I don't think people should not enjoy themselves, but you're just like, I want to accomplish my work stuff first. Yeah. Before I go out. Yeah. Work hard first, and then you know, stack up your money and then enjoy yourself after. Because if you do that like at the same time, it's gonna slow you down. And did you change anything sales wise when you moved there? Or was it mostly just more disciplined, better schedule, and right mindset from being around the right people? Yeah, because when I first started, I was just on Zoom. So being on Zoom versus being in an office is like way different. Like, you have your team there, you're sitting across from somebody else trying to make it too, and like you're hearing each other, bouncing ideas off of each other, and just hearing each other out. Like, that just improves you every day. You're just improving every day. Yeah. And you know, on top of that, you're around, you know, Hall of Famers that want to show you how to do it, what's the best way to do it, and being able to be successful at it. Absolutely. Nate, let's finish with this thought too. So, because like we talked about, you've had a really big year. 600 grand's a lot. What number were you in the company last year? Do you know?
In the 30s.
30s. That's crazy. So that when my first year, I issued 403,000 in life, I think. In home, but I was number 3 in the company that year, and you were like 30 something doing like almost double the production, which is crazy. What if you were new again and you could talk to yourself and you would actually listen? Because I don't know if you would, because you're pretty stubborn. But if you would listen, what are a few things you would tell yourself to have to like write 600K your very first year in the business?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, we're just gonna assume you would listen. Like, if you're, or not yourself, if you were telling an agent that would, if you told someone who would listen to everything you said, and they're like, "I'll do everything you say to write 600K," what are like 3 things you tell them?
Well, I would do telesales a lot quicker. Okay. Learn that quicker. Yeah. And then, man, that's a hard one, to be honest. I mean, just be super intentional with your time. You know, now that I'm thinking, like, I would have times where I just like, man, I'd stop dialing and just get on my phone and just scroll. Super bad. Things like that. Like, for instance, when we used to do like our appointments in home, I would just park on the side of the road and just chill for a little bit. Not watch intentional Netflix or something. Yeah, not do anything productive instead of door knocking. Same concept goes with like you know, telesales. Just dial and do the work. Like a lot of people come in with their emotions. Like, I'm sad. I have this baggage at home. I got in a fight with somebody. Who cares? Just dial. I mean, if your girlfriend cheated on you, or if you had a death in the family, and yes, it sucks. It's not going to produce you any money. Yeah. Yeah, you're good at segmenting your personal life from your business life, right? Yeah, just dial. And as you build a team, you have to do the same thing, where it's like,
This is not what a therapist would probably recommend, but you gotta like. I'm always like, if you have something going on at home, you should bury that stuff down and deal with it. And it's not your
100%.
agent's fault.
Yeah.
You know, be a man, have a heart attack at 50 years old like everybody else. So no, I'm just kidding. That's not good advice. But the other thing I wanted that you didn't mention that I thought you were going to is like you're a lot more aggressive with lead spend now, right?
Yeah.
What do you spend per week on leads to issue 600 and what was it, 690 you said? 590.
638.
638. Okay. So 640 a year. What do you spend a week on leads?
So I was doing about 2,000 a week, and
Yeah.
then I changed it to like kind of a weird schedule where I just buy as needed, but I'll do like randomly $3,000 or $4,000. Like,
What do you spend a month, do you think?
probably like 6, 7, 8,000, maybe sometimes 10,000. It
Okay.
just depends.
So still about 2,000, 2,500 a week, something like that.
Yeah.
Got it.
The extra is the occasional IULs when I'm feeling a little fancy.
Got it. Perfect. So be aggressive with leads too, because
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that's so common. If you took the 30 people that were above you and the 20 people below you, so top 50 in the company, I bet you everyone on that was spending at least 2,000 a week on leads.
Yeah, 100%. It's just a lot of them, they're scared to spend money. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Just
That's all the top producers have that in common, though. They
Yeah.
get really good at buying. And once you go from spending, what do you spend a week on leads right now?
Anywhere between 300 to 600.
Once you go from 300 to 600 a week on leads to spending 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, you'll have the same result as Nate does.
Right.
You know, it's like everyone has different sales scripts, and Nate's versus the way I would sell versus the way you sell will be different. But if you spend the same amount on leads, you're going to be pretty close production wise.
Right.
You know, and I think a lot of producers like, hey, my script's good or this is good. It's like, no, you just spend a lot on leads. Like anyone would write that much. You spend
Just
enough
tell
on leads. So awesome, guys. Well, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you keep growing. Nate, amazing year. Appreciate everything you do for the team, man. And I appreciate y'all for joining us.
Thanks, Zach.
Appreciate you.